So I'll be talking about methane and methane pipelines, what's in those pipelines, and why is it a health concern. These transport pipes that take the gas from the well site often interstate hundreds and hundreds of miles, and they can be 4 feet tall. They're big. Pipeline explosions are rather more common than I had ever been aware. In fact, I was really surprised. They're tracked by the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Transportation. For a 20-year period of 1996 to 2016, so fairly recent, this Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration recorded 858 serious incidents with 347 fatalities. That's more than 17 a year on average. Unfortunately, pipelines are inspected on a regular but infrequent basis. The frequency of inspection can range between every 7 years to every 20 years. And the consequences, the implications for health are really strong, but the industry doesn't have the most stellar record. The key point is that over its first 20 years in the environment, methane is 86 times more potent than is carbon dioxide. It contributes to toxicity that affects the air and the water and the land, and is also a severe climate change driver. The other piece of pipelines, this is a picture of a compressor station, and it's huge. The purpose is to keep the gas pressurized and keep it moving through the pipelines. One of the things that means is that not only does it have to be big, but they operate 24/7. So in terms of the noise, it's a constant. In terms of the leaks, it's another constant. It happens at points of seals and valves and connections. There's also deliberate venting of what's in those pipelines. There's a particularly intense form of venting, which is known in the industry as a blowdown. And a typical blowdown, it's again something of a much larger scale than we sometimes realize. It can release a 90 to 180 foot plume of gas into the atmosphere. It can last as long as 3 hours, and it's happening under high pressure. So due to their intensity, blowdowns actually emit at much higher concentrations than are reflected in the average exposures on which permitting decisions are made. So as a consequence of all of these things, the leaks, the venting, the blowdowns, compressor stations actually are the primary source of vented methane and other emissions. Besides the pipelines, besides compressor stations, the pipes that bring the gas to your home, the pipes that run under city streets also leak. There are so many problems associated with our reliance on methane. Sometimes the EPA talks about methane's impact on the climate in terms of 100 years, but that's the wrong time frame because we don't have that long. The future of climate impacts is already now. We can have a future of energy sources that don't do us severe harm, that don't damage our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system, our nervous system, and don't condemn us to a future of climate chaos.